This happened over a decade ago when I was 12 years old. I lived in a small town in Oklahoma, and in my neighborhood the houses are fairly spread apart, separated by woods. It was a school day, so my grandma picked me up from school and brought me home. This was the first year that I got dropped off at my house alone. Before this, I would just go to my grandma's house after school. I would get dropped off at around 3 p.m. and my parents would be home around 4:30. Not that big of a deal. But today, for some reason, my dad wasn't going to be home until later, around 7, and my mom, a teacher, wouldn't be home until around 8 p.m. because she had parent-teacher conferences at the school. This happened in early fall, so it wouldn't even be dark until like 8:30. I did what I usually did when I got home. I ran upstairs, got on my Xbox 360, and played Minecraft with friends. But today was just me and my friend Seth. I was playing for about 2 hours when I heard a car door shut in my driveway. I was confused because no one should have been here until like 7. My house is set up to where my upstairs has windows that overlooked my driveway, so with my mic on and controller in hand, I went to my window to see who it was. Maybe my dad got home earlier than expected. When I looked outside, it was a red truck. No one I know drives a red truck. The person pulled into the middle of my driveway, sideways, like he owned the place. I looked out the window, and I saw a man with a hat, wearing a big camo hoodie and jeans. It was September, so no one should have been wearing a big hoodie and jeans in Oklahoma. By the time I looked out, he was already almost out of view, going up my walkway to my front door. I thought maybe he was one of my dad's friends or someone my dad hired to do something, but he would usually tell me if someone was going to be coming over. Soon after, I hear a knock at the door, then another. I go to my other window that has a better view of my walkway up to my front door. I see the guy walking back down the walkway. I switch and go back to looking through the windows overlooking my driveway. I'm relaying all of this to Seth, still on my mic. I tell Seth that he's walking back to his truck now. Instead, he walks past his truck and tries to open my garage side door. At this point, my heart sinks. I tell Seth that this guy is trying to get into my house. Mind you, it's literally broad day at like 5 p.m. Luckily, it was locked because sometimes we forget to lock it. After he tried the door, he started walking to my back patio. I dropped my headset and I quietly ran downstairs to see what he was going to do. I get downstairs and stand behind the wall so I'm not visible from the back door. I just listen. I hear him try to open the door. Then I hear a thud. It sounded like a brick being dropped on the ground or something. At this point, I'm more scared than ever. I wanted to call my parents or grandma, but I didn't have a cell phone yet. The only phone in the house was in the kitchen. I would have to cross my living room to get there, and he would be able to see me if I went in there. A few seconds after the thud, I peeked around the corner, and he was gone. I ran back upstairs and put my headset back on, telling Seth that he just tried to open the back door as well. As I'm telling him this, I hear a car door shut. This time, when I looked out the window, he finally got into his truck. I looked at the truck closer, and I noticed the only thing he had in his bed truck was a crowbar and a shovel. He sat in his truck for what felt like a few minutes. During this time, Seth told me to get my iPod and take a picture of his license plate. He was parked to where I couldn't see it. Then, he drove backwards out of my driveway and down the road. A few minutes after he was confirmed gone, I went downstairs to see what the thud could have been. I get to the back door and see the doormat was moved. Both big plant pots have been moved as well. He was looking for a key. Holy crap, we have a hidden key back there too. The key to the back door was under one of the smaller plant pots on a ledge near the door, not the bigger ones that he had checked under. I went to the front porch, and all the pots looked like they had been moved too. I don't know what I could have done if he was able to find the key, or if he just broke in. After he left, I called my dad and told him what happened. When my dad got home, he had a cop come over, and I told him what happened and gave him a description. The guy never came back. When I was 18, I lived in the suburb of southeast Melbourne, Australia, Noble Park. Our house was the odd one out. On a street of 70s and 80s type brick homes, ours was an Alpine-style weatherboard home with a steep roof built in the early 20th century. It was old, cold, and noisy, and you could see the ground through the gaps in the floorboard. We had a big dog who stayed outside until everyone was home, and then slept outside in a big pen/doghouse at night. We also had an indoor cat. The week this happened, I was home alone, Dad was overseas, and mom and sis were visiting family. One night, when walking home from work, I rounded the corner and noticed a figure standing on our carport roof, looking through a window into one of the 3 upstairs bedrooms. The sun was setting, so all I could see was a dark silhouette. I yelled at it from the top of the driveway, and it was gone. I remember thinking it was odd that my dog didn't bark or notice anything. I went inside, checked the house, the dog, the windows and the doors, and everything seemed in place. I assumed I had just seen a shadow from a nearby tree at sunset. The following night, I walked home from work and everything seemed normal. I checked all the windows and doors, let the dog inside for the evening, and eventually put him and myself to bed. My bedroom was upstairs, down the hall from the room next to the carport roof. Before bed, I had a routine of shutting all the doors in the house, as they were all squeaky, and the drafts would often blow them closed if left open. That night, I closed all the doors, checked the locks, turned off all the lights, and went to sleep. In the middle of the night, I was awoken by something, not sure what, but when I came to, focused my eyes and looked around. I saw the hallway light coming in under my door. I thought I turned it off, but perhaps I forgot. Right then, my doorknob started rattling, like someone was struggling to open the door. I immediately laid back down on my side, facing the wall opposite my bed, and my heart started beating hard. I heard the door open and close my eyes. I figure if someone's breaking in, I'll pretend I'm asleep, and maybe they'll take what they want and leave. I slowly open one eye, the one against the pillow so it's less obvious. I see the light coming from the hallway on my wall. My bedroom door is fully open. My heart is still beating harder. I lay still. I see the digital clock on my CD player, and a little after 2 a.m. Then, I hear the door creak again, and watch as the light on the wall slowly starts to disappear. The bedroom door is closing. At this point, I'm positive we're being robbed, but I continue to pretend I'm asleep. Keeping one eye open, everything is heightened. The loudest noise is my heartbeat, but I try to listen through it and can't hear anything. No breathing, no footsteps, nothing. At this point, I begin to feel pressure around both my feet. The blanket is getting tighter around them, and I realize that something is now sitting on the end of my bed. I look at the clock again, and now it's a little before 3 a.m. I'm frozen, scared, and have no idea what's happening. At some point, I have the idea to slowly readjust my positioning in bed and move my feet a little to see if something moves or happens. So I do this, but as I slowly readjust my feet, I feel one of them hit something solid. Something is definitely sitting on the end of my bed. I don't know what to do at this point, so I stay still and listen, while looking through one eye at the clock in the bedroom wall. The next thing I remember is hearing the first bird starting to chirp before sunrise. I look at the clock, and now it's a little before 6 a.m., and I notice the room is a little brighter. The sun is coming. Shortly after this, I feel the pressure lift from the end of the bed. I hear the bedroom door open. I see the light from the hallway on the wall again, and then the door shuts and the sun starts to rise. I got up shortly after this and checked the whole house. All the doors and windows were locked. The dog had slept through the night, and nothing from the house was missing. My cat was stuck in the bathroom overnight. He must have followed me in when I brushed my teeth without me noticing. I'm not sure what happened, but I won't forget that night in Noble Park. I was 13 when this happened, and it still gives me nightmares thinking about it. My parents wanted to go out on a date night, so they left me home alone on a Friday night. I'm an only child, so I stayed home alone. We had a one-story home with a daylight basement that had its own entrance. We live on a dead-end street that is pretty quiet in the evening, so not many cars come and go. My neighbors are pretty close to my house too, so I didn't feel uncomfortable being home by myself. So my parents left around 6 p.m. for their dinner reservations, and I had a nice hot pizza delivered and was ready to watch some scary movies all by myself. I was excited. I locked the door behind them and popped on the TV. I was scrolling through the movies on Roku app and decided to watch one of the first Halloween movies. I snuggled in my nice, warm, fuzzy blanket on the couch, got comfy, and began my night alone. About an hour passed, and I got up to use the bathroom. While in the bathroom, I thought I heard a noise coming from the basement. It sounded like something was moving around, but I figured I was home alone. What could it be? So I brushed it off as nothing. I finished in the bathroom and went back to my couch to finish the movie. Another 5 minutes passed again, and there were still moving noises in the basement. Now, I started to get that nervous feeling in my gut. I stopped the movie to listen to more noises. Oh crap, what is that? I thought about the entrance door down there and wondered if it was locked. I assumed my parents locked it. Oh, I hope they did. I didn't know what to do. I took a deep breath and decided to walk towards the basement and put my ear to the front door. What a mistake. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs. I froze in fear. This has never happened to me before. I've been home alone in the past, but mostly during the day. I know the obvious thing to do would be to call the cops, but did I do that? No. I ran outside and went to my neighbor's house and banged on their door. Thankfully, they were home and let me in. I was out of breath, scared, and couldn't get the words out fast enough. I begged them to please call the cops. There's someone in my house. I begged them to please call the cops. There's someone in my house, and to hurry. They called 911, and the cops came over within 10 minutes. I also called my parents to let them know what was going on. I let the cops check out the house, and I stayed at my neighbor's house where I felt safe. After some time, one of the cops came over to my neighbor's house and said that they didn't find anyone in the house, but did say that whoever it was, they came through the basement entrance and it must have been unlocked. Nothing was taken, and everything was still in its place. My parents got home, and of course they were very upset and scared. The cops assured us that the house was clear and to please lock our doors and windows at all times. They think this person saw my parents leave and assumed the house was empty. I don't want to think that this person knew I was home alone. After some thought, my mother said, "Oh no, I don't think we locked the basement door." She just assumed since we lived in a quiet neighborhood, we were safe, so she really didn't worry about it. Needless to say, after this night, we all made sure every door and every window stayed locked. They still leave me home alone, but they let the next door neighbors know when they do, just in case. I still think about this night and it gives me nightmares. I'm 16 now, and I feel a little uneasy being home alone, but I know I need to get over it.